Today I'll be talking to Hayley Krischer about her YA thriller, The Fallen Girls. It's an amazing book. Hi, Miss Hayley. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. I know this, the holidays, this time of year can be really busy. But, to start it off, would you tell the readers what The Fallen Girls is about?
Yes. Hi, Reagan. First of all, thank you for having me. This is so exciting, and thanks for choosing my book for your December book club. It's been amazing.
It's an amazing book. I loved it so much. I literally read it, there was one interval, because I read books, I'll read, take a sec, and then go back to it. And there was a good 3-hour bit where I was just sitting on my bed I can't put this down. It's amazing. So, it was...
That's like an author's dream to hear that.
It is such a good book. I loved it so much. And people say, I can't put it down. I couldn't. I literally could not. There was a good, 3 hours. I just did not move, and I was just reading.
Oh, that makes me so happy. So The Fallen Girls is about this girl, Shade, and her best friend, Jadis, who are very much outsiders, and they sort of have their own little world together where they share everything. Clothes, they share deodorant, and they even give each other stick and poke tattoos. Until Shade, who has this background in gymnastics, decides that she wants to join the cheerleading team, and this really puts Jadis off. She's like, wait, why are you joining the cheerleading team? Especially because there are these 3 girls on the cheerleading team that everyone calls the 3 Chloes. And the 3 Chloes aren't exactly the nicest girls. Especially there's the cheerleading captain. Her name is Chloe Orbach. Shade starts just becoming sort of enamored by her. And the two of them end up having this really intense friendship, which of course creates an enormous amount of jealousy with Jadis because she doesn't understand any of this at all. And so one day, one night at the homecoming dance, one of the cheerleaders mysteriously dies, and Shade can't help but think that maybe Jadis, her best friend, has something to do with it. So
the drama.
It's intense. There's a lot of intense friendship. Yes.
It is definitely very intense. I like this book does focus around female friendships, Shade's friendship with the Chloes and her friendship with Jadis. And that last bit where after the mysterious death, oh my God, I was I did not know who did it. I was sitting there, I was just what is going on? But no, yeah, I loved how it really, you did not know who it was until, that last bit.
Oh, I'm so glad, because as I was writing it, actually, I changed the murderer a few times because I just kept feeling bad that I started falling in love with these girls and these characters, and I would start feeling really bad. I don't want to make her the murderer. I don't want to make her the murderer. So I kept kind of changing it. And my editor was like, you're driving me crazy. You have to stick with one person. But I would keep going back and revising because I really didn't want to just make it okay, this person is clearly the murderer. I wanted you to really feel the pain that all these girls are experiencing in the difficulty in the new friendships and the death of one of the cheerleaders, but also the pain between Shade and Jadis, who were having, really a friendship breakup. And, I think that's a real universal theme that, people can feel at any age of their time in their life. And it's very painful.
It's whether you're 14 or you're in your 40s, anyone can have a friendship breakup. It's not just reserved for high school. So I loved it though. I do want to ask, what was your inspiration for this book? It kind of has a Mean Girls vibe to it with the 3 Chloes. And so what was like your inspiration for it?
So there's two inspirations. One is, I'll just say quickly, Heathers. If you haven't seen the movie Heathers, starring Winona Ryder, a young Winona Ryder when she was like 18 or 17. It was one of my favorite movies in high school because I just thought it was so dark. And I love the idea of three girls having the same name because it's sort of like, it's like, you know, in the book, I say that they were one monster with three heads because they all like kind of become the same person, the three Chloes. Yeah. It's like, so Heathers was definitely a huge inspiration, but also I had read about this girl, her name was Skylar Neese, and she was a teenager, 16-year-old in West Virginia, and she was killed by two of her best friends. And I think this happened in the mid 2000s, like around 2014. And it was just such a devastating case because, you know, these three girls, it was like a real triangle, their friendship. They had this very intense friendship. The three of them, they did everything together. So like, what would make these two girls want to hurt her? Like, couldn't you just stop being friends with her? Did you have to kill her? And it, you know, really wasn't the murder. I'm not giving anything away by talking about this. It was really the friendship and like the breakdown of the friendship that I was kind of really fascinated by. Like what got them to this place? I mean, obviously they were like sociopaths, you don't just like kill somebody, but like I was very curious about the psychological, you know, background of, you know, what happens between girls if you lose your best friend. Who do you turn to?
Yeah, that's insane because it's like what had to have gone through someone's head to kill their best friend who they've like probably grown up with.
Yes,
that's a crazy story. That's insane.
It's a crazy story. You should look it up. Skylar Neese was the girl's name, and the two girls are in jail now.
That's an insane story. That's crazy. But speaking of high school and friendships, I think that most people that like read the book can relate to being that age and navigating like through high school and those friendships. And it's also complicated and dramatic. But did you know like girls like the ones in Falling Girls when you were in high school? I mean, I'm homeschooled, so I don't really know the inner workings of the high school system.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, you know, I did. I had a group of very, very, very intense girlfriends who I still am friends with to this day. And like I would die for them and do anything for them. But I also had frenemies and girls who really hurt me and girls who I thought I could trust and I couldn't. And sometimes that girl happened to be somebody I was like really super close with. And so, yes, I had those friendships where I was, you know, really hurt and dismayed by a friendship where I thought I could rely on somebody. And it turned out that that person was not there for me at all.
Cause you expect them to like have your back and stuff. And then whenever you need them, it's just like, they're just like,
yeah. And it hurts. You feel like really alone, you know, and especially when you're dealing with like a kind of a group of girls. And I think it's like, whether you're in high school, whether you're in a workplace, you know, I think women, we need to like go to other people, women and girls, we need to go to other, you know, female, you know, or, you know, people who are represented, you know, themselves as female, or, you know, women need to go towards each other. We need to be able to talk to each other. We emote, we like to talk, you know, men typically like shut down, not all men, obviously, and not all boys, but, you know, the studies have shown that like girls really need to, and women really need to talk to each other. And so, you know, when you have like a group of like these three super cliquey people, you can feel like an outsider and like, well, who am I in this, you know? And it can really mess with your head.
Yeah, I have a group of friends, and if anything happens, even if it's the smallest thing ever, I call them, I'm like, guess what happened? Guess what happened? So I do get like, you know, always like wanting to talk to people about like like other women and stuff about like something that like happened in your life.
Exactly.
Because like we aren't supposed to do this, like we aren't supposed to do this whole life thing alone. We're supposed to have like strong relationships and such.
Yes. Yeah. You got to be able to like say who you are, and you have to be able to be yourself,
Yeah.
you know? And I think like that's the hardest thing when you are, especially, you know, and I want to say, especially when you're a teenager, but it's not just when you're a teenager. I think we all like struggle with like, did I act strange? Was I too much? We all question ourselves, you know, even in the kind of smallest amount, you know, did I say the wrong thing? You know, I want this person to like
analyzing
me.
every conversation that you have.
Yeah. And with your friends, you can just completely be yourself. You can just like let it all down. You can be your silliest and you could say ridiculous things, and you know that they're going to be okay with that.
Yeah.
When you have somebody who maybe you're just starting a new friendship with, you're always wondering, you know, is this, you know, where do I stand here?
A lot of my friends have the same humor as I, like my really close friends, we both have the same humor. And so if we're in a group of like some friends I'm really close with, and there's like others who like I know but not as well, and I make a joke, and then the friend that I'm really close with makes the same type of joke, and the people we don't know, they're like, and we're like, it's just humor, just being funny. But so it is fun, like kind of seeing the difference between like how you present yourself whenever you're with like your best friends, and then whenever you're with people that you aren't as close with.
I mean, totally. Like, and that's what's going on in this book.
Yeah. So I'm from San Diego, and like all of my friends there, they've known me since I was little. And like, I'm all really close with them still, even though we live in LA now. And like, it's like those friendships are so genuine because they've known me since I was like 3. And so we're all so close, and I can tell them anything.
Right. And you have like a different language with them probably too, right? Like there's a shorthand because you know each other so well. Like I have a friend that I've been friends with since the 5th grade. And I mean, she and I are still can like, even if I don't talk to her for like a month or 2 months, we can immediately shortcut to like, what's going on in your life? What's going on in your life? You don't have to do all this catch up. I don't have to like tell her a million things. I could call her crying even if I haven't talked to her in 3 months. And she's like, okay, what's dropping everything? Okay, what's going on?
Yeah.
You know, and it's really nice to be able to have a friend like that.
Yeah, I have a friend who is in San Diego, and I also have some friends up here who are like this as well. But like if I call them or something and I'm like upset about something, they're like, who do I need to go after? And it's really really nice to have like that like support of like friends, whether it's here, because I have like my best friends are up here. And then I also have some friends in San Diego, and they're all just like, who do I need to go after? But your book covered, you know, so much crime, like female relationships, friendships, cheerleading. Like, what was that research like? Like, whenever I was reading the bits where, like, Shade was doing all her stunts, like, with the 3 Chloes, the descriptions were amazing. I could picture it so clearly. So, like, what was the research for that like?
Okay, Reagan, I'm going to tell you something, and you're going to be disappointed in me, but, like, I was a cheerleader when I was in high school, and I was literally the worst cheerleader you can imagine. I was like Shade, but only in the beginning part. Like, so I was like Shade in that I was really like naturally just agile and good at gymnastics. I like taught myself how to do all of this stuff. Wow. And so I wanted to use my body. I wanted to be strong. I was a lot like her. I got on the cheerleading team. I was completely like the odd girl out. I mean, all the girls were really nice. There was no one like the 3 Chloes, and they completely welcomed me with open arms, even though I was sort of like, why are we going to practice? I really didn't understand that you had to like actually smile. I thought we were just doing it for like sort of the stunts. I wanted to kind of throw my body around. They're like, you have to smile. I'm like, how? I was so shy. I couldn't bring myself to do any of that performative stuff. So that's where I was very different from Shade.
I love that you put the smiling thing in there, because that was with Shade too, where they had to be like, you have to smile for this. You have to, like, you know, smile and like at the crowd and stuff. You can't just be like deadpan.
There was a boy once when I was doing at a pep rally, and I was so shy, and I was really in love with him. And he came up to me after the pep rally and he said, "You couldn't even smile once, could you?" And I was like, oh, I was heartbroken, but God. I couldn't. And it was like one of those things. I couldn't do it. So Shade really tried after that. I really wanted to make her like super into it. And she was committed. She is committed. She is committed in the book. And so I studied so many. I think when I wrote this was during the pandemic, and Cheer, the first season of Cheer came out on Netflix. And I was absolutely obsessed, right? Obsessed with it. Like Lexi.
I watched that, and it was amazing. And I feel like it did like a really good job of pulling the curtain, you know, back on cheerleading, because you got to see them as like competitive athletes and not just like girls on the side with like their pom-poms. And like it showed that like they really have to be able to trust each other, like when they're doing the stunts. And I think this adds like another like amazing layer to the Fallen Girls, because after the death, like none of the girls trusted each other. And that's kind of what cheerleading is like, you have to trust that the person is going to catch you. And then after, you know, the death, none of the girls could trust each other, and it added like a amazing layer.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so glad that you felt that way. I got very, very lucky. Also, my editor, she had been a college cheerleader, so she and I together. I mean, I really studied like so many YouTube videos and so many Instagram videos, and like I really studied the language and the movements so that I could get every single thing down, because I really respect the cheerleaders so much, and having like that their bodies are like these exposed bodies getting sometimes thrown up in the air like 30 feet. You know, the guys on the football team are like covered in, you know, in pads and protective gear.
And they have like
you know, if a girl falls on her head. Yeah. And, you know, they're doing these incredibly hard acrobatic stunts, complex. I mean, like you said, you know, watching Cheer gives you this idea of like the athleticism. And so my editor also, she would make notes like, this is not what this is called. Their left hand has to be under their right leg. And, you know, she really, the technicalities of it, she really helped me out with that, because she knew, no, I think that they would be shifting left or they would be shifting their body right. So she and I got very, very detailed on that together. So that was a huge help.
The descriptions were amazing. I was able to picture like them doing the flips, and I'm not going to try and say the stunt names because I will mess it up. But whatever stunt Shade and like the cheerleaders were doing, I was able to picture it so clearly, and I loved that. And I mean, round of applause, everyone.
Yes, it was a team effort. In full cheer spirit, it was a team effort making that happen. And our copy editors also, you know, our copy editors were trying to figure out all the stunts as well, you know, to make sure that the grammar was correct. Okay, you've explained the stunt. Now let's get it grammatically correct so people can read it.
I don't know, like I said, I don't know like the cheerleading world. But I was able to picture all the stunts very clearly, so you did amazing.
Thank you.
Of course. I was wondering, is there a character in the Fallen Girls that you relate to the most?
You know, I have to say, I mean, like on the surface, shade, probably because my mom was a single mom, and you know, I was like, really related to Shade, and sort of like kind of how she just sort of like kind of chill in the background a little bit, more of an observer,
Mm-hmm.
and how she was able to become friends with lots of different kinds of people. I was very much like that. Um, and a very loyal friend. But I'm also a little bit of Jadis, sort of the anarchist and the bad girl. And I'm also a little bit of Chloe Orbach, the girl who wanted to sort of be in charge.
Yeah.
So I find myself a little bit of everybody in this book.
Because
Yeah.
I feel like whenever you write something, I mean, especially if you're writing like a one POV first person book, you kind of manage to put a lot of yourself in the main character because that's who you're writing as. But then you also have to develop these other characters, and I feel like whether it's on purpose or not, little bits of you manage to go into each character that you're writing.
Well, I love writing unlikable characters, especially because then that's like my chance to get dark. That's my chance to, some people can write fantasy and like have these like crazy sword fights and all this other stuff, but I can write characters who are mean, who are, like, why are you acting like this? I mean, I want it to be realistic. I don't want them to be like the trope of like a mean girl. I want there to be a reason of why they're acting this way. But I think it probably goes back to just sort of like my likes of how I loved the movie Heathers. I loved all of those characters, even though they were mostly awful, except for Winona Ryder's character, because, but those are like, that's why everyone loves Darth Vader, right? Like, because he's the guy who can just do this and and I mean, I think that people like the bad characters just as much as they like the good ones, but I think it's really important to understand why the person is acting the way that they do. For me, that, at least for me, that's really important.
Oh, yeah, same, 100%. Because like one of the books that I'm working on, it's a 3 POV book, and one of the characters, she isn't the nicest person. Like, she's nice to her best friend, but not to really everyone else. But my favorite bit about it is like, well, why is she like this? She wasn't born like this. So what happened in between her being born and when the book is set that made her a mean person? And like, I love kind of developing that backstory to show what happened so she's acting this way.
Well, you probably do that as an actor too, right?
Yeah.
Like really get into the character and the understanding.
I've never played like a mean girl or anything, but who knows? Maybe one day in the future I'll be able to play a mean girl. But no, yeah, like whenever like I'm playing any character, whether it's like a small little bit or like my character on Young Sheldon, it's like, well, what is the character arc that Missy has gone from her being born to now? So it's like you kind of have to develop this whole backstory. And like, of course, there's like little bits and pieces that you get from like flashbacks or whatever, or like dialogue from like people like reminiscing. But you do kind of have to create your own backstory for this character. And that's like my favorite part, is like kind of uncovering the whole story of your character to see who they are, why they act this way, and all the different things that kind of shape whoever you're playing.
Right. Like, who is this person?
Yeah.
So it's very similar in the writing process, because like I'm writing about my characters, and I'm writing about like who they are, and there's so much that I write that doesn't even end up in the book, and it's their backstory,
Yeah, and like, so like for the book that has the 3 POV, one of them is like the mean girl. Like, I have a whole backstory for each of them, but most of it probably won't even be in the book, but it's just there. And even though it doesn't make it into the book, it helps so much, because even though it won't be like you seeing that, it still shows like why the character acts this way, how they would react to this situation. And so while you may not have their entire backstory in the book, it's still helpful.
So this is a book you're writing?
Yeah.
Maybe I get to read a first draft or something, or a end draft.
I haven't finished it yet. It's a work in progress. But yeah, it's a fantasy. I don't know if you're a fantasy person, but I love fantasy.
I'll read anything. It's awesome.
I'm the same. People are like, so what's your favorite genre? And I'm like, everything. I love any genre. I will literally put a book in front of me and I will read it. But we sent it out for submission. And we sent out like the proposal and stuff. So that's really exciting. It's
oh my God.
It's awesome. A whole world that I don't know the half of. It's a very complicated world, the whole writing world, but hopefully we'll know more like next year after the break and stuff.
All you have to do is write. Yeah. That's the difference between, that's it. That's the difference between like what you're doing as an actor. You have to rely on so many people, and it's such a collaborative, huge group process. Not that writing isn't when you get to the publishing stage, but when you're just doing it in your own little world, that's like the beauty of it. You could just like work out all of this stuff and you could just create this own world of your own. And that's all you have to do. You just have to write. Like
the only thing you need to write something is a pen or paper or a computer or something, and you can just write. And your brain. You need your brain. You need like imagination and all this stuff, and that's the only thing that you need to be able to write. And like you said, of course, whenever it gets to the submission, there's so many other people that you're relying on. But just like the writing stage of it, it's really just you. And I have another 20 ideas for books. I have a whole the notes app. I have a whole section in there. It's the most random stuff ever. It is like literally every single thought that I've had about what could be a book, something that could be in a book. Literally, I have one in there, and it's a book name for a book that's inside a book, if that makes any sense at all. And it's just it's so random. That notes section is so random. It's just a jumble of words. But hopefully I'll be able
That's what it has to be.
Yeah.
That's the free thought.
Yeah, I was talking so there's this bookstore near us. Just opened, and a 16-year-old, she opened it and stuff, and we went the other day and I met her, and what she's doing is amazing. But I was talking to her and she was like, I have the exact same thing. I have a notes section and it's just the most random stuff ever. We were going through our notes, comparing just how chaotic it was. I have just really random things in that notes section. It's very chaotic.
Well, I'll say one thing. First of all, kudos to that girl who owns a bookstore. I mean, that's incredible.
It's amazing.
But I use Scrivener. It's amazing. That's mind-blowing.
I love Scrivener.
But I use... Oh, okay, good. So you use it.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's, love it.
To me,
the best.
Yeah. Because you have so many ideas. You can just separate them all into smaller pieces. It helps with all of that chaos that you're talking about.
I'm a Google Docs and Scrivener person, so that's what I write on, and it's the best combination. And then Pinterest is a writer's dream. It is. I have way too many boards on there for really once again, picture my notes section but in pictures, and that's what my Pinterest is.
Totally.
Once again, just as chaotic.
Same. Also just as chaotic. And then when I'm writing, I also make I actually have like a board. I could show you if it was nearby, but I guess it's not. I have like a huge, just sort of like bulletin board, and then I just print out pictures, and then I just like put it on like a mood board, and then I put up all index cards, and I just like put it right in front of me when I'm writing. Yeah. Wait, do you want to hold on and I'll get, it's right over here. Oh, wait, let me grab it.
Oh my God. Thank you.
This is part of one of my, so
That's so cool.
I took some of it down.
It's so cool. I love it.
I took some of it. I took some of it like apart. So
it looks like,
but usually it's like
version of, you know how in like movies, whatever you have, it's like the crime movies where you have like the red string connecting like different things. It looks like a writing version of that, and I love it. I love it. It's amazing.
You want to talk about your chaotic brain? That's my chaotic brain. That board.
So the note section I have, that one is just for writing. I have another one, and it's like songs that I've heard that could go with like a certain scene in a show, or if I need to have on a certain song or something whenever I'm writing. That too. It's like I can't even get into how chaotic and insane those sections are. It's too much.
I absolutely love it. And I encourage you to just start pasting stuff all over your walls.
I will.
Songs, pictures, everything.
I've seen the board now. I've seen the board, and I'm going to do that. I need that now.
Yes.
I love it. It's amazing. Thank you.
I've seen the board.
We're slowly, it's just going to spread, and now every author is going to have like a board of whatever they're writing. So speaking of books, what are you currently working on? Is there any new books we could be expecting?
Yes, actually, well, the one of the board that I was showing you, at least the partial board, is a adult book, but it's about teenagers. And so it's not, I love still writing about teenagers, even if it's an adult book. And it's called Where Are You, Echo Blue? And it's about the most famous child star of the 1990s disappears on the eve of the millennium, and the very young journalist who is obsessed with her and tries to find her. And it's set in in the 90s and in the year 2000. So
that's amazing.
That comes out from Dutton. Thank you. I'm so excited. I am so pumped about this book. So that comes out in 2024. I'm psyched, and we'll totally send you a copy.
So far away. But it's so far.
And then I have another YA. And then I have another YA book coming out that's also like, I can't actually talk about it, but there's friendships, there's murder, there's a cult, lots of exciting stuff.
That sounds amazing.
But I can't say any more than that.
I love how my reaction to there's a murder in a cult is that sounds amazing.
Yes.
Well, it has all the good things in it. Murder and a cult. It's amazing.
Cult, friendships, perfect.
Perfect combination. I also heard through the grapevine. It's not through the grapevine. It's common knowledge. That The Fallen Girls is being made into a show.
Yes.
Yay! Congrats! I'm so happy. I can't wait.
Thank you.
Amazing. What is that like process been like?
That's just been like sort of like a dream. Honestly, it's a little bit like out here in a different world that's happening.
Yeah.
Like I can't really like
process
that
it's happening.
So I'm working with these two incredible writers, and they just actually they pitched it to the incredible Bruna Papandrea, who did The Luckiest Girl Alive and Big Little Lies, and she's like a dream come true, a writer's dream come true. She just loves to adapt books and turn them into incredible television shows and movies. And so my writing team, Chloe and John, they are right now working on the pilot, and they just sent me like a little snippet of it, and they're going to be sending it to the production team soon. And so
it's going to be so good. I can't wait.
I can't wait.
I'm so happy for you, by the way. That's amazing. Like, congratulations.
Thank you. Not going to lie. It's good. It's cool stuff.
Are you casting yet?
Oh my God, Raegan. You're like, especially your deadpan delivery. Oh my God, lady.
Thank you. I'm available.
Yes.
If you would want someone. I know someone. If you would want someone to be in it, I might know someone.
I know people, and I know people.
But seriously, I would love it.
And so vouches. I know people.
I know people.
I know people.
My people can call you. So we did reach out to our readers to ask if they had, some questions for you. And one of the questions is, what is your favorite part of The Fallen Girls? It's hard. I know. It's so hard.
There's a scene in the swimming pool where Jadis, they're swimming at night because Jadis is like, mom is never around, so they keep the swimming pool open all the time. And there's a scene where Shade is like doing like a back handspring or something like that into the pool. And it's like cold out and it's like very steamy. And, she's, Jadis, they're having like this, they're in this very intense part of their friendship where they're like just starting to separate a little bit, but you can't really tell what is exactly happening about the tension and how Jadis is dealing with the fact that Shade is on the cheerleading team. And something happens, and I don't want to give away like what happens in that moment in the pool. But something happens where Shade feels like her trust is betrayed. Then a couple of other things start to spiral from there. So I don't want to give that away, but I would say that it's like a real turning point in their friendship. And so I would say that's probably my favorite part in the book.
I love that scene, by the way. Another question is, I know that you just said that you are still like writing the pilot and stuff, but someone was wondering, do you know when the show might film? I know that's so far in the future.
I have no idea, and I hope that as soon as possible.
I hope that too. It's going to be amazing. Clue. It's going to be amazing. When I found out that it was going to be a show, I was like, oh my gosh, can this come out tomorrow, please? It's going to be amazing. I can't wait. Even if a certain someone isn't in it, it's fine. It's still going to be amazing. It's going to be like such a good show, and I can't wait to watch it.
Oh my God.
But if you ever wanted someone, and I have one last question for you. It's from moi. And what do you hope readers take away from The Fallen Girls?
I really hope that like they understand that if you're having a problem with your friend, you're not alone. And it can really hurt, and it can really feel like you're alone, and it could really feel like your world is crumbling and you're at the end of your rope, and that you have no one to talk to. But there's always someone that you can find to talk to. And it might feel like it's the end of everything for you, but it's really, you have so much more that you'll like. I'm not saying like, oh, you could just find a new friend. Obviously it doesn't feel that way, but you can get past that hurt, and you can trust other people again. And I've seen girls and women who've said that they've been burned by a friend and they don't trust women. And to me, that hurts me to my core, because I feel like we are so there for each other. And just because if a friendship doesn't work out, it doesn't mean that that's the end of all friendships.
Yeah.
It does mean that you have to be vulnerable. It does mean that being vulnerable, you're going to have to be vulnerable again. And that is really hard, because, sometimes when I was talking to people after I wrote this book, and a lot of people said to me that like losing a friend can sort of be like worse than a breakup, like a romantic breakup, because like sometimes you expect a breakup to happen, but you don't expect your friend to like hurt you. Mm-hmm. And so I would say, just remember that, there are other people that can be there for you, that you can talk to.
Yeah. That's amazing advice. And I do think that's something that girls, or just people in general, that they need to hear. But you definitely succeeded. I definitely got that from the book. And that is amazing advice. But thank you so much for talking to me. I had so much fun. It was amazing to hear all about the wonderful world of the Fallen Girls. I can't wait to, read more of your work and have such an amazing holiday. And hopefully we'll talk soon.
Thank you, Raegan, so much for having me on. I just can't thank you enough. I think you're incredible what you're doing. So
thank you so much. What you're doing is incredible. Great. You're writing an inspiring book.
Okay. Yes, but you're 14. Mm-hmm. And look what you're doing. You're inspiring tons of other kids, and you're writing a book. You're like a creative explosion.
That is the best compliment I've ever gotten. So thank you. A creative explosion? That's amazing.
You are. I'm here for it. And I'm here for it.
Thank you so much. I had so much fun, and I hope you have an amazing day.
Bye.
Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to get more Read with Raegan updates.